All right. I got time today. All right. So, Pernell Bills. All right. And this is a little different segment I'm going to try to bring every single week or every single day to the YouTube channel. This is kind of like a little separate segment of the podcast that you guys see with Josh, or even when Brandon comes on with the Fan Fast Break. And so I wanted to kind of dive in here because a lot of things has happened over the last few days or whatnot in terms of the NBA, WNBA. We're seeing stars come to life. We're seeing one star who probably could save a league starting to not even starting, but already seeing the adversity, that the obstacles in which she's going to have to push forward, which is Caitlin Clark. And so I'm going to start off with Caitlin Clark. So far, she's there. You know, the Indiana Fever are 0 for 4, and I mean, I understand people are like, "Oh man, why they haven't won anything?" Well, they clearly picked first for a reason, and got Caitlin Clark. She's not going to change the team overnight. I understand she shoots the ball like Steph Curry. The difference is that, again, Steph Curry, when he came in, those expectations of turning an entire franchise around wasn't the same. And Caitlin Clark has been tasked with turning that whole entire franchise around into being a contender, into being a winner. Now, how does that flow for the WNBA? Well, you're a league that needs to break a profit for one. And, I think you should, in the easy, in not the easiest way, but in the best way, I think you should allow her to develop and mature inside of the WNBA. Remember, college basketball is college basketball. WNBA is professional. These are the best female basketball players in the world who are dominating at what they do. And so you're expecting this young talent to come in and immediately dominate a professional league is very difficult to do. It's difficult for NBA players to do it. It's difficult for NFL players to do it. It's very difficult for a young guy to come in, young person to come in and dominate as soon as they get in there. So give it some time. I think the Indiana Fever, obviously, they're going to be a hot name all year long, and I think they're going to catch fire. But again, it's going to take some time. Now, for the WNBA overall, they have a chance here to develop their league even further. You're seeing record crowds. You're seeing record views on either social or on the media, different media outlets, live. You're seeing different aspects of this. The problem with the WNBA is that distribution wise, they haven't felt this type of love since the first 3 years of the league being started. And what I say about that is you're trying to pick and choose what needs to get the attention of either ESPN or needs to be shown on TV, when you need to show as many games as you can on TV, as many of the best players as you can on TV, because you need a narrative to develop. Caitlin Clark narrative is she can shoot threes like Steph Curry. She's going to change the game. Well, that still has to be developed into the league, but there's other great talent that's in the league that needs to be shown. But because you're picking and choosing when you want to do it, you're gonna have issues. Las Vegas Aces, they're doing their thing, and so two-time defending WNBA champions. I saw somebody say national champions. There's no national champions in professional sports. They're champions. They are defending champions, finals champions, however you want to call it, is champions. It's not national. This ain't college. This is the real deal. So I think the WNBA has to do a better job of supporting every ounce of what their league is, because they have to break a profit. We saw the Atlanta Dream. They've decided to move their game versus the Indiana Fever to the actual the Atlanta Hawks arena, which is a great, smart, great decision to do. I've seen their arena is not that their actual arena it's a nice arena, but it's not big. It's not big at all. And you're gonna move it to the Atlanta arena so it can have a lot more people there. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's showing support. But the league itself has to do a better job. It needs to do a better job of supporting all their great talents and not just the one that just came in. You need to attack it all. Because at this point, what else you have to lose? You haven't broken a profit yet, so there's nothing to lose, right? So that's my first take on this little breakout segment that we have, right? I'm calling it side dish. It's the Sports Hungry side dish. Other things when it came down to what has happened this week. We saw the Denver Nuggets go down, the defending champions, NBA champions, go down to the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, man, Karl Anthony Townsend. They played an excellent game. They played an excellent game in terms of the entire series. They played a pretty decent series, taking it to Game 7. You win most of your games on the road, right? So now you're like, man, these guys here, like, what can't they do? They're going up against a force next. Luka, offensive monster, defensive liability. Kyrie, offensive monster. I'm not going to say he's a defensive liability, but there is a size difference between in the game. But again, Kyrie is one of the greatest players to ever play this game. He's going to be one of the top 100. His skill level, talent is by far undeniably great. And so this is going to be a tall task for the Timberwolves to get over. And obviously, I have the Timberwolves as my favorites because I think well-rounded. Their depth is pretty decent. Their length is great. They have two giant big guys, and then you have Anthony Edwards doing what he naturally does. But this is not going to be an easy game, but it's going to be something that we all need to watch. Luka versus Anthony Edwards, or even Anthony Edwards versus Kyrie. I wouldn't want Anthony on Kyrie because I think Kyrie, his bag is too deep. And I think he can exploit a guy like Anthony Edwards. Not saying he's not a great defender. I think he's going to have trouble stopping that guy. On the other side, we got Boston versus Indiana. We were so close. We were so close to seeing Boston versus the Knicks, which would have been a huge, huge, huge conference finals game. Not saying that the Knicks would have beat them. I definitely didn't think that was going to be possible, but the atmosphere would have been something that we would want to see. And Boston has had some time to rest up and whatnot. They just can't rest on their laurels. They have the most to lose in these playoffs. They have been to the conference finals game, 3 out of the last 4 years. They've been to an NBA finals where they've lost as well. They have guys on some really heavy contracts. At this point, they have to win it all. This is their year. If they don't get it this year, this question is going to be asked. And there's looking like Jason Tatum versus maybe Anthony Edwards in the finals. That's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Now, let me talk about the Knicks. So Julius Randle is a guy who has been injured these playoffs, and the Knicks almost got to the NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals. Am I pumped to say that the Knicks would have won with Julius Randle? I don't think so. I think the Knicks did something that we are typically used to seeing the Miami Heat do. Do more with less. Do more with injured players and role guys. Do more. We've seen this happen actually a few times, right? We see a team rise up. Again, Miami Heat. We've seen the Atlanta Hawks do it one time when they had their run. Again, they rise up and then end up going up against the best team in the conference and end up getting dominated. But for the most part, we see this happen every so often, where a team that has their roster doesn't say championship caliber, but the effort they give in the playoffs says championship caliber. Now, is Julius Randle an option you bring back? He's an option. Do you bring him back? I don't know. There was a question that on the Gilbert Arenas podcast, and I'll bring that up, where they asked Gil, is Jalen Brunson a superstar? No, Jalen Brunson's not a superstar. He's a really good player, but he's not a superstar. He's risen higher than what we thought he could be, but he's not a superstar. right? He's not a superstar. Is Julius Randle a superstar? No, he's not a superstar. He's a really good player, but he's not a superstar. And he just might be a very, very known name, but maybe not a star. He's just a really good player. And Brunson could be the same way. And this is why I say the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat comparison, because both don't have superstars. They have players that rise above what they could do or we think they could do, and they end up exceeding expectations. Now, would I re-sign Julius Randle? Absolutely not. I would trade Julius Randle. I mean, that's $30 million. I'm going to trade Julius Randle. I have Jalen Brunson. Let me go ahead and get me a superstar. I need to find me a superstar. Whoever that is, I have to find them because I can't win with Jalen Brunson only. I need a superstar who can go in and take over a game. If I'm looking for Julius Randle, I'm trading him. Whether I'm trading to LA, I'm trading him to New Orleans. I think New Orleans will be great because they're not going to re-sign Brandon Ingram, and you take Brandon Ingram, send him up to New York. That might be a good fit. Maybe you trade not Jalen Brunson, but Julius Randle. You trade him to go get maybe Donovan Mitchell from the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's options there, but you do not bring that guy back. Not saying he's not a good player. Like I said, I mentioned he's a good player. Is he a star? No, he's just a really, really good player. But he's you can't win a championship with that. And all these fans who think that you're playing professional sports just to play professional sports, or they're just there to play professional. No. Professional teams are meant to win championships. They're built to win championships. And if your team's not built to win a championship, then you have work to do. And every piece on the board is expendable if you don't see that as a piece that can get you there. Randall did not do anything in these playoffs because he was injured. He didn't get you to the game 7, right? And there's nothing saying that him being in that game would have done anything to help you win. So the Knicks need to get a superstar, and they have to find somebody to commit behind and go from there. Jalen Brunson's nice, but you need a superstar. With that being said, the comparison that I have for the modern day Knicks are obviously, I said, the Miami Heat. But if you were to go back and see a team that didn't have great superstars, they had players who developed into stars and exceeded the expectations of what they probably thought they would be. We're talking about the Detroit Pistons when they had Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince. That was a group that Rasheed Wallace as well, Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. That was a team that exceeded their expectations. They won championships. Or won a championship. They beat the Lakers, right? They went to a game 7 versus the Spurs, in which Robert Horry for the Spurs hit like 4 threes in overtime. That's the ceiling the Knicks and the Miami Heat should look for if they're not going for a superstar. That means you have to develop your team well enough to get to that point. So that's how it is. My vote on who would win, who's going to win this series in the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston goes, and I got the Timberwolves going, and we're going to see Boston versus the Timberwolves in the NBA Finals. And it's gonna be awesome to see that because again, one has to win, the others are just looking to deny expectations, right? So we got that. My next take: Bronny James, is he an NBA player? Here's the thing: it's so weird to judge a basketball player, based off of college film, right? Because I mean, you have guys like Kyrie who did his thing, but also he was injured, right? Only played a few games, didn't play much. You got a guy like Zion, he did his thing, right? But only for a year, right? He was already coming in with so much hype. He was the best player coming out of college. Coming out of high school and then going into college. We've seen guys be elite. I mean, Anthony Davis, again, he did his thing. But, these guys ain't playing a lot of seasons, a lot of years, right? They're playing here nor there. They're not sitting in college playing 2-3 years. They're playing like 1 year and then they're going to the league, right? So how much can we really gain from watching them play and in college. And there's been talks that what they do in high school sometimes translate better to the NBA just because of the simple fact of the free will abilities that they have. So in college, it's very stoic type movements, right? Very play driven all the way through. There's not really much free play. It's really you follow a system and you roll with it. It's a system they've been running for years, right? While the NBA is a little more relaxed, a little more free. They may run a play here or there if once or twice, but they're gonna try their best to score, right? We saw the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. The only thing that you're seeing there is the strategy, right? The strategy is not the play. The strategy is, hey, we're going to do up tempo and we're going to play tight defense. That's what we're going to do all game. When we're talking about high school, is kind of the same way. College is like, we're going to slow it down. We're going to set the play. I need you as a center. Come up to the free throw line. I pass you the ball. People run around you. You pass in the ball, maybe 8, 9 different passes, and then you're going to try to take out one shot. But hey, let's not go outside of them. Let's not be too creative. Let's just try to do these plays and go. Now, I think Bronny has to develop a little bit more. So going back to the topic of Bronny, I think he has to develop a little bit more. I don't think he's a bad player, nothing like that. I think he just needs a little more development. He will probably go to the G League for the first year, and that's okay. The thing is his development going to be what we need it to be. That's all we matter. We saw Poole he was in the G League for a year, I think, and he developed pretty well. And then Golden State brings him up, does his thing, and then he goes, obviously trade him, all the things that did happen, but turned out to be something really good. I think Bronny would benefit if he were to go to the Spurs or go to the Miami Heat or go to the New York Knicks. The reason why is that these are really strong coaches. Greg Popovich, very strong coach for the Spurs. Eric Spoelstra, very strong coach for Miami. You need guys who are strong coaches who have the ability to win without the best player on the team, who can develop the talent. And if I'm being honest, the Miami Heat might need a point guard. If I'm being honest, I think the Spurs need a point guard to go along with whatever they have in their system right now. Wemby, solid, great center. He's going to be one of the best to ever do it. Thing is, he needs a point guard to help him out. All right, you might want to go ahead and get yourself a Tony Parker, in which that what Bronny James could develop into. So, and also to USC, for you to list him at 6'4", and that man be 6'1", man, that's crazy. Man, that's crazy. It's not like he's getting recruited to the NBA. He's going to the NBA. He's not being recruited there. Right? High school recruiting, they do stuff like that. They'll change the height and weight of players just so they can get an offer. But man's already in college. He's trying to go to the NBA, and the NBA, they're going to do all the measurements to a T. No hiccups, no nothing. It's all, you are 6'1", if that, and we might draft you. But you scored 5 points coming off the bench. So hey, it is what it is. I think he'll have a good, successful career. He's just going to need a little more development. Is he going to get that in college? I thought he would probably benefit for an extra year in college. But if he's not going to get that in college, when he goes to the G League, he's definitely going to have to use that and grow from that point on. So we got that. And last but not least, do I have one? I do not. That was the quick recap of what we've seen from the NBA and WNBA over the last 4 or 5 days. Again, this is a Sports Hungry side dish, man. This is a side dish. It's just a little excerpt of open conversation. I'm gonna try to do this every single day. Just give you a good 15, maybe 20 minutes of a side dish conversation of what's going on around the league and my thoughts. And again, you might see Josh throw a side dish out there. Fan Fast Break throw a side dish out there. But yeah, that's what this is. This is the Sports Hungry side dish.